Welcome to this edition of Folks Talking Sports, episode 146. I am, of course, KG Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review, and with me is Miss Kennetra Pulliams and also Willy Gibson. First, of course, Miss Pulliams, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good, thanks.
Brother Gibson, happy Father's Day to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. I hope you're doing well as well.
Absolutely. Doing well.
And my other queen, Kim Y. Davis, hopefully will be joining us in about 15 minutes. And we'll have the band completely back together. But going to try to do things a little bit differently on this June 15th episode of 146. Brother Gibson, you are in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Going to start off with you, sir. And this is Folks Talking Sports. So we're going to talk some Rockets. We're going to talk some NBA. We're going to talk some NFL, all those great things.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry. We're going to talk about the Desmond Bane trade and get everybody's thoughts on Kevin Durant and trade rumors, all those good things too.
Mm-hmm.
But Brother Gibson, like I said, doing things a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Give the audience an update on the Cleveland Browns, and then if you have any news to share about the Ohio State University, sir.
Oh yeah, sure. Cleveland Browns ended. They had a mandatory minicamp June 10th through the 12th. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They have vacated the premises for the summer break. They will be back late July for camp. Minicamp was pretty eventful. Miles Garrett did show for the mandatory portion.
Okay, my question. Okay, I was going to ask you that.
Yeah,
all right.
He did show for the mandatory portion and kept that $105,000 in his pocket. It was pretty uneventful. I mean, Shedeur Sanders was the focal point and the focus of pretty much everyone there. He just did what he does. He's done nothing since being drafted but put his head down and work. And his comments have been few and far between. And when they do come, everything is about, I just want to be the best teammate I can be. Point blank, period.
So has he spoken to the media? Has he had any media sessions?
He spoke Tuesday. Tuesday, first day of minicamp. And it was just, his message was simply that. I just want to be the best teammate I can be. You know, let the chips fall where they may, essentially.
Well, I don't know, and AD's not, I think AD's in San Antonio right now. But asking you, how was it handled? How much of practice or workouts, whatever, can the media see?
Usually it's one day a week. It's typically on Wednesday that the media is allowed to view OTAs. So, I mean, those days are pretty much, you know, what you see. And the cynic in me tells me that the order is varied on purpose on that day to kind of give some teeth to some topics that the team wants to be discussed. I can't imagine that what we see on Wednesday is what's going on Tuesdays and Thursdays either. But
so, if I could ask a question, so of that one day,
mm-hmm.
how much of the entirety of the practice is the media given access to?
You see the 115. It's the full 115.
Okay.
Hour, 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's way more than the Rockets we get.
It's just that one day. It's the one day. So that's OTAs.
Are television cameras allowed to record for the
you're not allowed to record. I think that's the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But the
stretching.
Yes. It's either 10 or 15. It's either 10 or 15 minutes. But you're allowed to be on site the entire 75 minutes that they're on the field.
All right. Get back to this. I want to acknowledge the queen of support of the Roundball Review, Miss Wanda Polk. Good evening to you as well, Mrs. Polk. Thank you as always for watching the show.
Justin.
And Justin, this is for you, Will.
Yes.
Read some article that Sanders and the other young QB in Cleveland could be traded. Any truth to this?
Well, when you say young QB, let me preface that by saying, is Kenny Pickett considered a young QB?
Yeah.
Then yes. then yes. I don't believe that either of the two rookie quarterbacks can be traded or will be traded. However, if we want to extend the young quarterback umbrella to include Kenny Pickett in his 4th year, anything is possible.
Fair enough. All right, fair enough. Thank you, Justin, as well. Thank you for chiming in. Glad he was able to join the discussion live here on this edition of Folks Talking Sports on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. KP, this is for you. Good news for the Chiefs and the Royals regarding whatever that is, the bond or the legislation or whatever you want to call it. What do you want to call it? How would you describe it?
A Hail Mary?
By the government? By those two teams? What?
Because the thing is, there have been offers from across the state line to lure them, keep them in Kansas City proper, just move them to KCK or the suburbs of Kansas City. So this was done to keep them as entities, professional teams in Missouri.
And how much money are we talking here? What was promised by the government?
Because there's, a lot of it is, there are a lot of details in there. It's not all just for stadium improvements or a new stadium. There's disaster relief for St. Louis residents. There's even some language in there for St. Louis Cardinals, if they want to redo Busch Stadium, so like it's not just a Kansas City sports team bill. So there's a lot of language in there.
Do you believe that the Chiefs and Royals will stay where they are?
I mean, I do. I think, there's a lot of posturing going on, but there's no consent. Even if they were to leave the Truman Sports Complex in Eastern Jackson County, there have been discussions about moving them downtown, because that's kind of like the new thing to have like an entertainment complex, right, that, many cities are going to. There have been renderings and proposals and drawings and, whispers. And then also if they were to move to KCK out by the Legends, out by the racetrack, there's already, the Legends development, there's already hotels and room, there's space out there. Where they're positioned right now is not a destination part of the city. There aren't any premium hotels. There's really nothing around the K and Arrowhead Stadium. There's nothing around there. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, right off I-70. Here it is.
How far is Arrowhead Stadium from T-Mobile Center?
Probably about 20 minutes, depending on traffic. But if they were to move downtown, they would be right there in that same complex. Yeah. Across the highway, from T-Mobile Center and Lowe's hotels and just, the power and light.
That's all I know, Will.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yes. There are things to do downtown. Truman Sports Complex, there's really nothing around there. Now, granted, come next summer, 2026, Arrowhead Stadium will be renamed or will be known as Kansas City Stadium for purposes of FIFA World Cup. Okay. So there will be 6 games over the span of a month. So there'll be a lot of foundational and infrastructure improvements into the stadium. Now, as far as what's going around the stadium, don't know what those plans are, but Arrowhead Stadium will host World Cup games.
Will, where are things standing with, I don't know, are the Browns trying to get a stadium as well, or a complex or district, whatever?
Depends on who you ask. Yes, Yes. Short answer, yes. Yes, they are. They are looking at let's see, how do I want to start this? D and Jimmy Haslam, the owners of the Browns, purchased 138 acres of land about 18 months ago near the airport in Cleveland. And it's kind of, okay, they brought some land. Billionaire brought some land. Okay, great. But it's kind of like, what is he doing with 138 acres?
Right.
Well, we shortly soon thereafter found out. The Cleveland Browns lease currently on Huntington Bank Field now is due to expire at the end of 2029. So they, speaking of complexes, Brook Park, right now the stadium is in downtown Cleveland on the lakefront. To provide a little context, D and Jimmy Haslam have campaigned for years wanting to build similar complex on the lakefront, and have been unsuccessful to this point. So I believe they just got tired of waiting and decided, hey, you know what, we'll do it on our own. Brought 138 acres of land in a suburb, Brook Park, which is 20 minutes south of downtown Cleveland, and are looking to build a dome stadium as well as an entertainment complex, apartments, restaurants, hotels, things of that nature. I believe the number is 3.4, or I'm sorry, I believe it was about $2.4 billion, so of which they are willing to pony up $1.2 billion of it themselves.
So about half.
Just about.
Yeah. But
it's just interesting how they plan or want to go about obtaining the other half. The city of Cleveland, as you would expect them to do, are vehemently fighting this at every turn because they want this team to remain in downtown. To be honest, they provided I believe it's $100 million renovation package to renovate the current stadium. Well, let's back up. The Cleveland Browns were the original team left in 95, the end of the 95 season, became the Baltimore Ravens.
Right.
Due to failure to secure funding for a new stadium. They fought, got the team back in 99, but they needed a stadium. They didn't have the stadium. The old stadium was demolished. So they built a stadium, the current stadium now, Huntington Bank Field. None of the amenities of a modern NFL stadium. It's archaic. It was built in 1999. It's 26 years old. So they are now looking to build again, they wanted to do some things on the lakefront, weren't able to get those accomplished. So they decided now to move to Brook Park. They are wanting to receive funding from the state of Ohio. And in the state budget, I'm not sure if the state of Texas or Missouri or Kansas has these a division of unclaimed funds, where if funds aren't, if they aren't secured by a person of deposit for an electric bill and you move and they can't find you, or a dividend from a stock, or whatever, if the company has done their due diligence to contact you, unable to find you, they turn those funds over to the State Department of Commerce, and it goes to the Division of Unclaimed Funds. Someone attempted to put a line item in the state budget that was just passed to say, hey, all those unclaimed funds that the state is holding, let's give them to D and Jimmy Haslam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you kind of figured out, you kind of guess how that went, but yeah, so they're pulling out all the stops.
I'm glad someone read that line.
Yeah. Long story short, they'll get the stadium built. It's not a win, but it's not an if, but a win.
In Cleveland or suburb?
In Brook Park. Yeah. Yeah, they're going to get their stadium built and their location on their 138 acres.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
But I do have some Ohio State pieces if you.
Oh yeah, go ahead and do that. But real quick, I just wanted to say when Kim Davis joins, I'm going to ask Kim about. She knows probably more about the Texans and NRG and what they're trying to do. And the Texans don't have to pay for renovations like the Rockets and the Astros do. Okay, so it's convoluted, and the McNairs are winning when it comes to renovations, anything for upkeep, NRG. They barely have to pay for anything, whereas Tillman and the Astro ownership have to pay for all their renovations for those stadiums. But back, all right, the Ohio State. Here you go. Well, no,
Yes.
well, CA37 asked this question real quick, and then get to the Ohio State.
Oh, Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco.
And then for how long? First step until when?
They play in London week 5 against the Vikings. They come back home at Pittsburgh week 6. Week 7. Well, it depends on the record. If they're 4-2, 5-1 at that point, then he continues. But I definitely think it's going to be Flacco through the London game, maybe the week after at Pittsburgh, and then we'll see. We'll reevaluate at that time.
Fair enough. All right, the Ohio State. What you got?
Ross Bjork. Ross Bjork spoke on Thursday and spoke about 75 minutes, wide range of topics. One of the main things he spoke about was the house settlement.
Mm-hmm.
First thing he said was, quote, "We will not be cutting any of our 36 varsity sports. Period."
Good on him.
So
Okay.
that,
Good for him. I mean, good. Hey,
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. He did discuss a framework of how to utilize the funds come July 1, $20.5 million. The first $2.5 million will be used to fully fund 91 additional scholarships across the 36 varsity sports. The remaining $18 million will be direct paid to student athletes in 4 sports at Ohio State. Women's volleyball,
Okay.
men's and women's basketball, and I'll let you guess the 4th.
Hockey.
Yeah. Well, of course, it's football. So football, men's basketball, women's basketball, and women's volleyball will be the first 4 sports to be direct paid of the $18 million required by the house settlement. And a lot of people say, well, why volleyball? Why women's volleyball? The Big Ten is very, 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 very takes a
Very.
yes,
Very.
They market women's volleyball like no other. The Big Ten Network has a TV package. Nebraska, Penn State, the 2 top teams in the country. Nebraska sold out Memorial Stadium, their football stadium.
92,000.
Yeah.
And then your defending national champions are
Penn State. Yep. So they are so women's volleyball. Now, Coach Jen Flynn Oldberg will be the program is rebuilding, and she is undertaking a huge task. So, but Ross Bjork has let it be known that those are the 4 sports to begin July 1 to be partakers of the direct payment.
Well, first, thank you for that, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Wanda, go ahead, KP. I know you had something to say. Go ahead.
I was going to, by the letter of the law, or taking it at face value and not trying to read too much into it, there will be no cuts. Does that include modifications of those that were varsity sports will remain as teams and sports? They may just drop down to club level.
No.
And the mural.
Nope.
Okay.
Everything remains the same. 36.
Okay. So cuts means we're staying as is.
Correct.
Okay.
That's impressive. Okay. Thank you for that, Brother Gibson. And also, Miss Wanda, this is for you and any Cougar alums watching. Salute to Ross Bjork for speaking with the media about the House settlement for 75 minutes, as you said. I'm just glad he did it. I'm still waiting to hear from my alma mater's AD making any public statement about how Houston Athletics is going to, what they're going to do for the House settlement. Waiting for an email, a text message, what have you. Rice's AD was scheduled to speak Friday. Without the weather change, he got sick, so he postponed it. But either way, to Rice, to their credit, Rice notified me about the press conference and then notified me that it was going to be rescheduled because he was sick. That's Rice. Okay. I don't cover Rice as much as I used to. Back when Willis Wilson was head coaching and Chris McKinney was coaching women's basketball. Excuse me. But they still reached out to me. And they were still planning to have the AD talk about the House settlement. My alma mater, again, because what was it? It was, the news dump was Friday the 6th, June 6th, right?
Yes.
We're now at June 15th. Still haven't received an email. Have not seen anything on the school website regarding a public statement, anything about the House settlement, any discussions. I know what Joseph Duarte said from the Chronicle months ago about the possible percentages going out to football, men's basketball, etc. But that was months ago. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And again, Miss Wanda said it. She says, so sad. It is sad. Transparency is what I'm asking for. I don't need to get into all your business. I don't want to get into all your business. But as a member of a Power 4 conference, I do believe you should make a statement by now about what you're going to do or something regarding the House settlement. We are aware of it. We're aware Judge Wilkin approved it, and we are close to making an announcement of how we're going to handle it for our teams. Something. But nothing. Okay. I love my school. And because I love my school, I will be critical of my school when necessary. And right now, I believe it's necessary.
So
next,
you would rather have a statement without the details.
That's fine.
Than ducking and dodging, no statement.
Yes.
Okay.
Something. Give me something. Especially when the school that is, 4 miles away or whatever, whatever Rice is from Houston, that's not a Power 4 conference member, has made a statement, was planning to have a press conference. This is for Justin. The question is, what is this settlement? As Will kind of touched on regarding for Ohio State, schools, all the Power 4 schools, Will, NKP, all of them have opted in to pay for year one of the 10 years that this is going to be in effect, to pay their student assets / athletes from the universities $20.5 million for year one. And most of that money will go to the football players, the largest percentage. Some schools, 69%, 65, 75%, whatever. The model that's been tossed around is, 75 for football, 15 for men's basketball, 5 for women's basketball, and then 5 for the Olympic sports. That's the, projected. So some schools do differently amounts, whatever. But I don't know. I've not heard anything most recently from Eddie Nunez, the AD from Houston. Months ago, he was quoted saying that men's basketball would probably get a higher percentage than some other programs because of their success. Okay, well, follow up on that. Have you agreed on what it is? What is it going to be? Crickets. Okay. This edition of
how much pressure, or I'm not going to say pressure, how much interest is there from the collective Houston media on Eddie Nunez to make a statement?
Honestly, besides me, probably nobody.
See, that's my thing. Like, if there was like strength in numbers, like if he's getting, if it's coming from a lot of different angles, then it's just kind of like you can't hide.
Right. That's fair. I haven't talked to some of my colleagues about it. I'm the one little voice in the wind right now, possibly, potentially, and that's okay. I mean, I may seek others later this week. If it's nothing this week, then it's going to be on. Okay. Because we're going on 2 weeks. And I mean, that makes no sense. I'm sorry. That makes no sense.
Because I mean, not trying to provide cover, but okay. Now that, I mean, basically all of the sports competition for the season is over.
Mm-hmm.
NCAA track and field just concluded national. Mm-hmm. So Houston was represented. So, okay, maybe, the focus was there. I don't know. But now, okay, that's done.
And he announced a hire of a new softball coach. Of course, he announced a hire for women's basketball in April. He announced to hire a new soccer coach. So he has made some new hires. I know this. UH sent an email to season ticket holders and some alums mentioning transparency, that they were going to provide supporters. Well, apparently transparency does not mean giving you information about the House of them, because so far it's been nothing. And he has my number. Okay. Trust me on that. He has my number. He has called me back. He has texted me a couple of times. He texted me to let me know about the decision regarding Coach Huey. So it's been out there. So we have a communication. It's not an issue. Apparently right now it is. And maybe they haven't decided yet. Well, he could text me about that and say, hey, we haven't decided yet, Kris. I'll keep you informed. Something. But next on the agenda of this edition of Folks Talking Sports, episode 146. All right, Brother Gibson. Mm-hmm. We texted about this a few hours ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. That's the banner of it.
Yep.
The Orlando Magic Memphis Grizzlies trade. Desmond Bane going from Memphis to OKC. Mm-hmm. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Cole Anthony mm-hmm. coming to Memphis. But also, not just players, first round pick. It's going from Orlando to Memphis. First round pick in 10 days, the 2025 NBA draft, 16th pick. First round pick in 2026. Swap rights from either Phoenix or Washington. First round pick in 2028. Swap rights to a first round pick in 2029. Top 2 protected. And a first round pick in 2030. All of that is going from Orlando to Memphis for Desmond Bane. Brother Gibson, go ahead.
Why you shake your head?
First and foremost, Desmond Bane is a good player. Good player.
But,
however, 4 first round picks. Not to pile on Nico Harrison again, but how many number ones did he get for Luka? One. And Desmond Bane went for 4 and 2 players? Wow.
I mean, look, when you're last in the NBA in 3-point shooting, You're desperate.
4.
Okay. And let me go back real quick. Bobby, thank you for chiming in as well. Regarding the no pressure from the media, apparently so. And like I said, I'm one little voice in the wind. If I were, or would I become a larger voice? Or look out. I'm just going to say, because I will become a larger voice. I'm just saying. But anyway, the picks involved. When I saw the amount of money Desmond Bane was getting paid, I was like, he's making that much?
I was going to leave it alone. I promise. I was going to leave it alone.
But I'm not mad at him, though.
No.
Because if a team is going to pay, like I said, everybody on these shows, none of us will say, you know, I'm not worth that much money. You sure you want to give me that much money? So no, take some of that back. None of us going to say that.
No.
So get that money. 4 years, 163, averaging about $40 million per. Get that money, Desmond. A TCU alum, Big 12 product. So hey, Big 12 got it. So I'm good with that too.
But I mean, look at kind of buyer beware, trader beware. Look at the problem that the Knicks ran into, and all the capital they gave up to get Mikal Bridges.
Yep.
And it came back to bite them, because now trying to get a head coach, they have no leverage to be like, hey, well, can we even talk to your guy? We do have this that, we could maybe offer, like, no. So that's why they're getting the gas face from everybody.
Oh, Will, she said it.
I know, right?
You said it. Hold on, KP, this for you. Let me see. Oh, let me see if I have it on this folder. Do I have it on this folder? I don't have it in this folder. Oh, man. Oh, okay. Oh, let me see. Real quick. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, let me see if I can find it. Because you said magic words, KP. Let me see. I have it on my computer somewhere. It's in my Rockets folder. I don't know if I can bring it up here quickly enough on this edition of the show. But you said it.
No, I'm sorry. See.
Oh, man, let me see. Boy, I got to find where it is. Let me see. Let me see if I have it. But it's the gas face. I have it. You said it. I don't have it at my fingertips. And I hate that. Oh, my goodness. Let me see. One more thing. If I can. All right, let me see. Here we go.
It's the gas face, man.
Memories. Okay. But let me bring it back here, because I hate when I'm learning the filing system and it changes the screens when I bring in new media. So there we go. All right. But like I said, and Desmond Bane, I've only seen one other. I mean, I've been spent my whole day reading about this on the net, but his last 3 seasons, family, 69 games played this past season. Previous season, 42. Year before that, 58. So it's not like we're talking about a man who's playing 70, 75. He's had injury issues. And is going to a team that dealt with what this past season? Injuries. So you're trading all those picks for a guy who is a legit 3-point threat, but he's had problems staying healthy. You're zapping your depth for sure. They're banking on that starting 5 staying healthy. But okay, and yes, I know, Will, you heard it. Last 2-3 weeks, KP's heard it too. The East is wide open. So, I mean, clearly, there's no other competition in the East. So Orlando can make a move.
Yeah, you keep believing that.
Yeah. Okay. All righty. Yeah. Okay. Justin says Bane to me is probably on the level of a Dylan Brooks. Probably a little bit better 3-point shooter. May not be as durable as Dylan Brooks, though. But the picks, and some folks have spun it that the picks may not be that big of a deal from Orlando giving up based on where they are in future drafts. They're banking on being so good that they'll be low. So that, okay.
I mean, if you need some depth at guard, Mac McClung's available.
Well, he is available, and he has been there a couple of times, bounced around Orlando a few times, but okay.
Was it one of those picks, a swap pick with Washington?
Yeah.
And Phoenix?
Yeah, here it is again.
Okay.
Yeah. Swap
So
right, either Phoenix or Washington in 26. Yeah.
that's a lottery pick.
Yeah. Well, now you get into that. Let's now the next topic here.
Yeah.
Get everybody's thoughts on this. Any thoughts on Kevin Durant and the trade rumors involving him?
KD is 37 years old. I met KD. Between me and you, KD is 37 years old. So,
But well, I was glad to hear this Saturday night. Sean, Mark Stein, other national people have mentioned teams that KD has interest in, the Rockets, Spurs among them. It's his preference. Miami's third team. Minnesota was mentioned as well as a possible fourth team. Somebody else said Toronto. But KD's preference is Rockets or Spurs because they're two Texas school teams.
what was the third team?
Or Miami. No, that's his preference. But what I was glad to hear is the Suns management said, we're going to do what's best for us.
As well, they should.
Exactly. So we're going to do what's best for us. So whichever team, if it's Toronto, if it's Minnesota, I don't know how it's Minnesota, but if it's Minnesota, Rudy Gobert and Dante DiVincenzo and Rob Dillingham for KD, I mean, it helps Phoenix, I guess. That's probably better what Miami could offer. What does Miami have outside of Bam and Tyler Hero?
That's the part. That's to me, that was kind of telling that his preference is Miami. It's like, okay, Miami doesn't have anything, so are you just trying to chill?
Yeah.
Because Miami can't do anything.
Now, Miami being in Florida does not have state income tax, just like the Rockets and the Spurs. So he might be thinking about that, which could be an indication of he wants to get his contract extension.
Sure.
And that's it. He got his rings. He got it too. I'm good.
Yep.
Hey, y'all trade me until I want to be traded. I'm good. I'll put him out 26 points, give you 5 and 5. Okay, we may win a lot. We may not win a lot, but whatever. Kennetra, what do you think about Kevin Durant?
Another one who is closer to the end of his career than the peak of his career. Injuries. Yeah, he's still a quality, capable player. But we'll see what someone is willing to give up for his services.
For you two, for two of you. Now I messed around. I don't do it often. I messed around with Trade Machine on spottrack.com for one of my Let's Talk Houston Rockets shows on Thursday. The trade that was approved, that I put in there, was from the Rockets, Dylan Brooks, Reed Shepherd, Jock Landale, and or Cam Whitmore or Aaron Holiday. So for those folks, no picks. I kept it simple with the machine. No picks because I could have put in some picks, whatever. Yeah. But for simplicity, Dylan Brooks, Reed Shepherd, Jock Landale, Aaron Holiday. Thoughts on that?
You putting dollar signs with it?
It matched up. Yeah, Rockets would be taking back. KD still makes $5 million more than those four players, okay, as of right now. But it matched up.
Why would he? Why? If I'm Phoenix, what's the benefit for me?
Well, if Devin Booker says, my guy Reed Shepherd, he's Kentucky, Big Blue, got a bright future. Me and him, that backcourt, we could do something. Matt Ishbia loves Book, right?
He does. That's not impressive to me.
You saying it's not worth it?
No.
But Will,
No.
Rafael Stone believes Reed Shepherd believes very highly in Reed Shepherd.
So highly that he's willing to trade him. So highly that he's putting him in a trade. Yep.
Well, he's got to give up something to get Kevin Durant, Will.
Yeah.
Got to get a Hall of Famer. Got to do something.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this for both of you? Come June 30th / July 1st, Jalen Green's salary goes up to $33 million. I could put him in a trade, involve him in a trade for KD. No, y'all don't want that.
That's more impressive than Reed.
How about Jalen Green and Reed Shepherd? How about that? But aren't Jalen Green and Book redundant?
Mm-hmm.
All right, bringing her in. Let me see if I can do this on the fly here because I didn't do this correctly. There we go. Sis, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Of course, this is Kim Y. Davis from Chalk Talk. We are talking right now. We haven't talked about this. I haven't asked you about this. Do you believe that the Rockets should, not will, should trade for Kevin Durant?
So I'm probably in the minority, but no, I don't.
Okay, why not?
And I should say depends on the deal. It's always about the deal. But I think there's a few things that make me go, I don't know about that. Now, to me, if you're going to bring in Kevin Durant, you're making a move because you think you're going to win a championship in 2026, right? Because his contract is, what he deserves, but it's hefty. I'm sure that wherever he goes, he's going to want an extension at the max. So you're talking about close to $100 million for Kevin
Durant. Between 112 and 120.
Between 112 and 120 annually.
No. 2 years.
2 years. I mean, yeah, but he'll probably want a two-year deal. And he's 37.
When the season starts, yeah, he'll be 37.
He'll be 37. And, so for those reasons, because you're going to have to give up some stuff. Now, the Rockets, because they do have all of the picks that they got from the Suns, they could probably work that out. I'd hate for you to have to give up your nucleus.
Okay, you just missed
the future.
So this is what I put in a trade machine that works salary-wise, okay?
Okay.
Dylan Brooks, Reed Shepherd, Jock Landale, and either or Aaron Holiday or Cam Whitmore.
Okay.
So would that be okay for you from a Rocket perspective?
Yeah, that's better. That deal it doesn't blow what you have right now. I think that there's a lot of upside, I imagine, to Cam Whitmore, but there's something that makes it difficult for us to recognize it. It's probably the same thing that caused him to drop in the draft when he dropped, because he clearly is talented, but how long do you wait to see if someone's going to do something? I know that they like Reed because he can shoot it, but we don't know that he can really shoot it in the NBA yet. And quite frankly, there's not a lot of history with Reed Shepherd at a competitive level to know what he will be. He played 1 year in college and he came off the bench. So I said all that to say, yeah, that deal I would probably do.
Okay. All right.
If I didn't have to max him out. Like, I'm still concerned about the max contract.
Right. And see, now we can get it. Let me do this. Space Ace, kudos to you, and Trent, I see you as well. Kudos to you, Draymond, as well. Got some of my Rocket family joining our discussion. Appreciate y'all for joining here on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. Suns have no leverage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
yeah, they do. They don't have to trade Kevin where he wants to go.
Right.
They can hold out for what they want in return for what they believe is best assets. KD can leave next summer. There's not going to be a lot of teams that have cap room of $50 million. The cap's going to go up, but it's not going to go up to 55, 60 million per kind of thing. Right. So they can hold out for as long until February. And then a team says, my owner says, I need to call you, man, because he believes we can win a chip with KD. So let's talk. They can wait till February to trade Kevin in. So
what do you think? I came in late. What do you think, Kris, on a KD?
I don't believe they're going to do anything.
Should they?
I think Kevin Durant, the money part, the contract extension, I have issue with that.
Yeah,
because that impacts Jabari and Amin and Tari, the young core going forward. So, I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are NBA teams reportedly who are willing to do the Toronto gamble.
Yeah.
What Toronto did with Kawhi. Get KD for a 1-year rental. Believe that they'll win the chip with Kevin Durant. Then next summer, if Kevin Durant decides he loves it here, well, he'll stay. If he decides to go, then we'll move on out. At least have a chip, But the Suns, as long as the Suns don't do what Nico Harrison did, or hell, do what Orlando did today and give up 4 first-round picks and some for Desmond Bane and destroy your future, wait. See, the problem is Phoenix is in a hurry. Okay, they want to get this done before the draft. That's probably.
Well, actually, let me say this real quick. Somebody said Durant would take less if he was serious about a chip.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure that that's his main focus, and that's not a knock on him. He's got chips,
right?
I don't know that that's what he's trying to do right now.
That's why he picked Miami as one of his teams.
Right.
Exactly.
Clearly, I think he wants to get paid and he wants to enjoy the remainder of his career. Mm-hmm. Everybody's not trying to get a chip right now. And so, do we think that the Rockets are a Kevin Durant player away from the championship?
Nope.
That's my thing. If that's because you're not going to make any other deals if you make the Kevin move. And so that's why I've just not been, and I've heard people locally here, in Houston on the radio, and guys that are like, oh my goodness, you got to want KD. It's not the KD that went to the Warriors. And this isn't that team. I think you're better off, you've heard me say it here, building. And I think they need to go out and get somebody. And we talked here before about who some of those people could be, but I don't think Kevin Durant's the answer. Because now you sit here next summer, you don't win, and Kennetra, then what? Man, you got Kevin Durant.
If, quote unquote, Durant was serious about a chip, he would have gone back to the Warriors.
Fair?
Yeah. That's not.
Even though I don't think he made a difference getting over the hump being OKC, but that makes more sense. Yes.
Right.
And it's just KD wants to win. He doesn't want to be on another losing sub 500 team.
Right.
So now, if he goes to a team that gets to the second round, he good. Be a leader, be the bridge. That's fine. And I respect that. The only way I believe KD becomes a Rocket is if the ambassador to Italy, it's Italy, right? Italy?
It's Italy, yeah.
puts his thumb on that scale and says to Rafael, I want Kevin Durant. Period.
Yeah.
And Rafael, I don't care what you say to me. I don't care. It's Kevin freaking Durant. I want Kevin Durant. That's the only way, personally, I see the Rockets doing that. You could tell Tim Tillman he wants so much money in the future. I don't care, Rafael. I'm the owner. My name on the checks. I want Kevin Durant. Outside of that, I don't see it happening. Giannis, y'all know how I feel. Giannis for Şengün. I'll do that in a heartbeat. But
it's going to take more than that.
Oh, yeah. More. That's not a man Thompson.
Sign me up.
Yeah, not a man Thompson more, but yeah. Put Şengün start the conversation.
Right.
But Space Age, just upgrade our weak positions like OKC did. But I don't trust Stone to do that. Space Age is consistent. He is not a fan of Rafael Stone. Trust me, he is consistent with that criticism of Mr. Stone. Okay.
Well, perhaps Ime Udoka, who the Knicks tried to poach. I mean, what are they doing? Like
no plan. No plan.
We're gonna get rid of Thibodeau, but we don't know what we're gonna do. We're just gonna go and try to, I don't know, we get Jason Kidd. If not, we'll get Ime. What are y'all doing?
Sis, I have a question for you. Regarding the Texans and NRG and wanting a new stadium, where does that stand? I mean, they don't have to pay like Tillman does in Astros.
Right. So let me say this. The Texans have not asked, they're not talking about a new stadium. I know that that's been reported. And it's interesting because I was there that day at the golf tournament when Cal and Hannah and then the team's new president, we were talking about it. And what they're talking about is a new practice facility and some renovations to the stadium. And a couple of our colleagues have been talking about, they ran with it. I had, I had to go back and call a team. I just want to make sure I didn't get this wrong, right? You're not talking about, what I heard was blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, you heard it right. Some people have reported it incorrectly. So a new stadium is not in the conversation. I think they know that's not really viable right now. And the way stadiums before, where you got all this public money, that's not going to happen right now. Not in this climate, not in this economy. And while people are excited about the Texans, they still haven't won anything yet, right? Mm-hmm. But a new practice facility where they go and make like a whole, it'll probably be in a suburb, Sugarland, Katy, I don't know, pick a place where they can build a whole little area, right? Entertainment district. That I think is what they're looking to do. And they've got people who are interested in doing that because they could do that. That's more realistic. But I do think that they want to make some renovations to NRG, and the challenges are that it's not just, they're not the only tenant, right?
Right.
You have the rodeo, and then you got all kinds of other stuff, and so it makes it difficult to be able to get in and do those renovations. I'm sure they'll get it figured out, but a new stadium is not on the table right now.
Will any of those renovations come as a result of hosting World Cup?
So possibly, I think so. And that makes it more than just a Texans conversation, right? That becomes more county and city, because like the city, it's the county that is involved at NRG, and the city is Toyota Center. So yes, I think the World Cup gives them a chance to probably do some things. But man, I know we're talking World Cup, but just politically right now, there also are murmurs like, is that still happening? Are people still going to come here because of people being able to fly into the country, and then especially to Texas? I mean, it's a quiet kind of an undertone of what's going to happen between now and 2026. And I'm really curious about that as well.
That's fair. Space Safe. Thank you for the compliment there. Again, salute to the channel in the chat. Appreciate that. Let me see. I wanted, Will, this is for you, but KP, Kim, I don't know, college angle on this. This is a Brett Yormark, Big 12. KP should know this. What are your thoughts on Commissioner Yormark pushing for the 5+11 model for the CFP? Do you understand it? His rationale, his logic, he wants to earn it on the field. He doesn't want to have the guaranteed spots year in, year out, which I completely agree with whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But what do you think?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, let the cream rise to the top. You're supposed to be in the playoff. You'll get there. Your play on the field should get you there. I'm not, first world problems. I know, like the SEC deserves this many slots, and just go play the games. And at the end of the day, December 7th, December 8th, whatever day that will be, you pick the top 16 and keep it moving.
KP?
But the question is, how what constitutes the top 16? Eye test, strength of schedule, record, conference?
Well, I mean, no, it's not about. I just the holding of the spots. Like that we deserve this many spots. No, I'm not a proponent. I'm not advocating that at all.
It needs to be codified.
Yeah, for
sure. And Space, I'll get to your question in a moment. But I mean, year in, year out, they need to stick with whatever it is and not make it so
wishy-washy.
Wishy-washy is good. Subjective. Because there are times, there are years, and I know this is blasphemy to any fan of an SEC school, but there are actually seasons when the SEC does not have the best 4 teams in college football. That does happen, you know. So wanting 4 automatics, blah, blah, blah. No, you shouldn't. The Big Ten, there's years when the Big Ten does not have the 4 best teams in college football.
When are those? No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
But I mean, and I want to say that because there are some fans, the Big 12 schools, who say, but the Big 12 will get guaranteed 2 spots every year. But you're also guaranteed, if that happens, to have 2 less than the Big Ten and the SEC every year for the next 6-7 years, no matter whatever you are. So it's already bad right now. It's already a power 2. Right now, it already is. But if you put in ink every year, recruiting gets even worse and more difficult for the schools in the Big 12 and the coaches, because the Big Ten coaches can say, well, we got 4 spots. All we got to do is finish in top 4. That's all we got to do in our conference. We're going to the CFP. The Big 12, we're twice as good as they are. Let's look what it says right there already. It's hard to deal with that. At least you can spin this, what your mark's doing. You earn it on the field. We beat Ohio State in non-conference one magical year. We deserve a spot in the CFP. I'm just putting it out there. Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Texas, whoever it is. If that year when I'm 85, well, not 85, let's see, that's too far, 65, and Coach Fritz has turned everything around and the magic is all here in H-Town and Cougars are rolling through everybody, we'll want them to have a legit shot at the CFP, not based on, already got 2 spots and y'all finished 3rd. What the hell? That's not fair, that kind of stuff. So I understand what he's saying and the push for earning it on the field. Now, yes, you got to determine how do you earn it based on strength of schedule in non-conference. I do believe that the major conferences should all play the same number of conference games.
That's fair.
SEC should not play 8 conference games. They need to play 9 like everybody else. Everybody should play 9.
Agreed.
Especially when SEC plays 8. We're so tough. Our conference schedule is so difficult. That's why we schedule in November Mercer. Georgia Southern. That's why we do that every time in November, because we're so banged up. Come on, man. How tough are y'all if y'all got to do that? But yes, so agree.
So,
go ahead.
Extracting playoff model, just as far as bowl eligibility, should teams be rewarded in the non-conference schedule for playing a lower tier non-conference opponent?
No. You shouldn't be rewarded that. Now, I mean, if everybody does it, okay, just take it out of the equation.
Right.
Everybody playing a G5 opponent. Okay, fine. Next, then everybody should be playing other Power 4 schools, non-conference. Let's make it simple. Year in, year out. We all play one G5 or we all play one FCS. All of us, all whatever, how many, with 65, whatever it is in Power 4, we all do that. And then everything else is Power 4. Let's do it. That's not that complicated. But everyone plays 9 conference games, and then your 3 non-conference games. I want to see the best play the best. Yeah. I like Ohio State, Texas in non-conference. I want to keep the rivalries. Keep the Florida State, Florida, keep the Clemson, South Carolina. Okay, that's one of your other non-conference games. And if it comes to it where you don't have the chance to play a G5 and you're all playing Power 4, fine. I'm sorry for Grambling. I'm sorry for TSU. I'm sorry for Rice. Whatever. Let's play the best, play the best. Year in, year out, non-conference. Let's get it done on the field. And then we'll see the 16 teams determine whatever formula you want to have. And based on that formula, let's get the best 16. You got the 5 winners of the conference, and then the rest of the 11, and let's go at it.
And how should those rules apply to independents?
Notre Dame is Notre Dame. They got their own rules. They need to come to something,
right?
Because they win, because they got the most money last year, right? Didn't they earn the most money?
Yes, they didn't have to split it.
They didn't have to split anything. I understand it's Notre Dame. I understand it's a national brand, but got to make that work too. But once you do, if you want to set aside them, if they finish, make it top 10 in the poll, whatever poll you want to have, the agreed upon poll, whatever that is, the net poll, the RPI poll, the Q poll, whatever, coaches poll, whatever it is. If they do that year in, year out, okay, they're in. If they don't, then they're not be in it, period. So what? Let's see. Wrapping it up here on this edition of Folks Talking Sports, episode 146 with Willy Gibson, Kim Y. Davis, and Kennetra Pulliams. What were your final conclusions on how the season went with the new look conferences? Travel is still a beast. Y'all add your 3 cents, but the conferences are too big. I don't like having an 18-team conference when you don't play your opponents for another 5 years. You rotate. I don't know. It's 2 conferences mashed together. I don't like that. I know that's already left the bottle. I understand that. And we won't get back to those days until 2050 or whatever. I don't know, but y'all can add what you want to add on the question about the new look conferences.
Yeah, going back to Ross B. York's comments on Thursday, he talked about that men's basketball at Ohio State. They played at one point in the season last year. They played UCLA on Sunday, USC on Wednesday. So they left on Friday, left Columbus on Friday, played UCLA on Sunday, USC on Wednesday, and flew home on Thursday. So it was a week, essentially, they spent on the West Coast because all day Thursday was a travel day. So no classes were attended. So Friday to Friday, essentially. And he talked about, the learning that they did on that trip and things to modify and get better for this upcoming season. So.
KP, Kim?
Yeah, same thing. Kansas did the same thing. They playing Utah and BYU back to back. It makes no sense, to fly back home. So you play one, you stay out, but that's just, you're not it's not like a West Virginia having to go to the West Coast, at least you're Central Time Zone. But still, it's tough when your conference covers 4 time zones.
Yeah.
It's beauty for, supposedly for your media partners to span 4 time zones. But when you got to travel for your student assets, got to travel from Orlando to Provo, that's a problem. That is tough on them. West Virginia, I looked at I forgot the example. Oh, the Big 12 announced their schedule matrices for men's and women's hoops. And I glanced at it and I saw West Virginia was like going to Utah or, vice versa, and they had somebody else like going to Utah and UCF or something. I was like, God, man, that's brutal. I mean, man, for basketball, something like that. And I was like, but it's all about the dollars, as everybody, we all know that. Okay, last topic. Game 5 is Monday. OKC Pacers, Game 5 Monday, series tied 2-2. Will, you sticking with your Pacers in 6?
I am. I'd have felt better if they pulled it out Friday night, but I'm sticking with it. Pacers in 6.
Kennetra? They had that game.
Up, what was it? Up 103-99 with 2 minutes and change. Outscored 11-1, something like that, in last 2+ minutes. But
I guess turnaround is fair play, because I mean, how many times have they done it in this playoffs?
Agreed. But when they went up 4, and the Pacers, who was it? Was it Nembhard and Neesmith, whoever, went to double Shea and left open or whatever, left double Jalen, whoever it was, went to double and left open, I think, Shea for a 3-pointer to cut it to 1. And I'm like, why are you doubling? You're up 4. Don't give up a 3. At worst, you're still up 2. They made that mistake, made a 3-point bucket. He leads down to 1, and V don't score at all. And pressure makes bust pipes. And in the words of the poet laureate, lemon booty. Lemon booty. They got tight. They didn't do anything. They forgot how to get into the paint. They just settled for out. Good kudos to OKC. Kudos to Chet Holmgren. Did a good job with his length and keeping them, whoever he was defending, keeping them on the perimeter. They missed those shots, and Shea did what Shea does. And now it's tied 2-2. Winner of Game 5. Space Age pointed out. Wins best of 7, 74% of the time. So, Will, you're picking the Pacers to win tomorrow.
I have to. It's just 6.
So, and I got OKC in 7, so that's still kind of on track there. But, man, I'm not going to lie to y'all. When the Pacers were leading that fourth quarter in Game 4, I was about to just stick out my chest, Eastern Conference pride and Central Division pride, and oh, yeah, going up 3-1, East Coast, everything. And then to watch them lose, I'm like, damn, it was right there. Because I think if the Pacers win the title, the Central Division will be the first and only, I think, NBA division to have every member of its division have an NBA title. Because the Bulls have, of course, 6, Cavs have, Detroit has, and the Bucks have. Come on, Indiana. Come on. Make Will right.
Please.
Make Brother Gibson correct. Okay, everyone. Thank you, as always, for joining us.
Well, let me just, before you go,
ahead.
I initially picked OKC. And at this point, if I had to pick a team, I'm going to stick with them. But the truth is, I have no idea in this series. I mean, I can't call it at this point. And so we'll see what happens.
But that means the series has been competitive. And that's one thing I want.
It is. It has been. Yep.
All right. Kim, you have some news to share. So please share.
Oh, by my book.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if there was something else that I Yes, my book launched last Monday. It's officially available on Amazon. It's called Sports My Love Language. ... It's complicated. And it's, I guess, I hate to use the term memoir, but it's kind of that, but it's really more of a blueprint, kind of a playbook for anybody who's had to navigate spaces that really weren't designed for them. Mm-hmm. And so that's really, the book kind of takes you through it. So you don't have to be wanting to work in sports or wanting to be a part of the media. I think you can get something out of it regardless. And that's really that was the way that I wrote it. So check it out if you will. I love it. And if you do and like it, leave a review. That'd be awesome.
Brother Gibson?
I'm sorry. It's on Amazon.
Sure.
The world is yours, sir.
Thank you, sir. As always, appreciate the opportunity. You can find me on social media at Will Gibson 7 on. I'm still gonna do it at Twitter on Twitter. Will Knows on Facebook and Will Knows Sports on Instagram.
Kennetra?
Hey, I'm honored to be surrounded by 3 brilliant minds offering their perspectives and point of view on the world of sports.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
How are we for next Sunday?
Good.
I think I have I don't know if it's Sports Sunday, but I think I'm off. I think I'm not going to be around next Sunday, but I'll text you.
Okay, that's fine. And I am KG Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. Thank you as always to everyone who participated in the discussion on this edition of Folks Talking Sports. To Mr. Tran, to Space Age, to Miss Wanda Pope, to Justin, to CA37, to Bobby, everyone who watched live on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. Tell your friends about Folks Talking Sports. Tell your friends about my colleagues, Kennetra Pulliams, Kim Davis, and Kim's book, Buy That Book, and Willy Gibson. We're going to do it again, Folks Talking Sports, next Sunday. Probably have the next Let's Talk Houston Rockets on Tuesday, 9 p.m. Central. Subscribe to this channel, spread the word, click on that bell so you can receive notifications when the next show is posted. And at some point, I hope to hear from the University of Houston regarding the House settlement, and hopefully they'll have a press conference announcing that as well. Oh, last thing, completely off topic. I lucked into Friday the Big 12 channel on TuneIn. I forgot about it. Will, Kim, KP, I forgot about it. Something that said, go check it out. Yes, go check it out. So I went to TuneIn, went to the website. Big 12 today is the daily show, weekday show, 3 hours a day, and then it repeats after that for a few hours. But lo and behold, Coach Kelvin Sampson was a guest on Friday in the last half hour of the show. So I checked it out. Most of what Coach said, I already knew. He said to us, prior in the week, whatever. But it was still great that he was on. So, Kennetra, you know where I'm going with this. It sure would have been nice, KP, Kim, Will, Bobby, if I would have been notified, hey, Coach Sampson's going to be on Big 12 today on Friday at blah, 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 blah. But for you to receive an email, something. Like I said, I lucked into it. So I did what I could. And of course, I found out that Coach Bill Finley was on earlier in the show. BYU head coach Kevin Young was on the show. I was like, wow, this is a nice show. Big 12. Yes, I admit, I forgot about the show. I forgot that it is on TuneIn. I forgot about that. But I think part of that's your fault for not keeping us informed that you have a show. So that's my final comment about that. So wrapping it up, as I always do, since 1994, the Houston Roundball Review, local name, global perspective. Everyone, take care. Peace.
Peace. Thanks for having me.